You know what I have on speed time.
Actually, I had an Iowa. how cool are they? Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the reaction. Although the really rich guy, when it got on. Yeah, in fact, that's part of that's the problem. On the weekend, everyone. It's great while they're there. Everything's on time. We got probably on this one, not with them.
But you're a bit of a rock star, aren't you? You've met them all, haven't you? Aaron Hoskinen, Dave Simonette, they're backstage a lot. I know everything. No. So I know Ivy, of course. Right?
Family, friends, we're here to lay to rest. Oh, wrong side of the paper. Sorry, I'll get it right. Good evening. I'm Dennis Lankin, and I'm on the committee that makes the selection of the award winners each year. And I'd like to thank the members of our committee. You know, it's a fun job, and we do it every year. I think I've done it for 10 or 12 years now. And the other members of the committee this year are Patty Mester from PBS, Annie Lepper, and Kraft Dreyer. And we have a spirited discussion, and it's fun. If you can think of people that should be recognized or you want to nominate them, please drop us a line, give us a call at the office, let us know. We're happy to do that. A special thanks also goes out to Connie LeMay, who does the biographies. If you've read them in the program, they're fantastic. I mean, it's more of, in past we've had them done nicely, but they've been just the facts. This is more of a story of these people, and you feel like after you've read the whole thing, you really get to know them a little bit. And also without the time, talent, and generosity of the folks from Findon Marketing, Andrew Weiss and Benji Waddell up in the booth, we wouldn't have this kind of presentation. So we're very pleased that they have become a part of our team here. We're also very excited this year about our winners. Claudia Meyer, I saw her. There she is, all the way over at the end. I know you're expecting a tiara. If you read Claudia's article on April 1st, I hesitate to call it April Fool's Day, but it was April Fool's Day, about her receiving the award and the tiara that she was anticipating. I went looking. I couldn't find one. John wouldn't give his up. So I hope this will do. If you know Claudia, you know. Boone, I saw him come in. He cleaned up really good. Usually when you see Bob, he's got sawdust in his hair and a paintbrush in his hand, and he's ready to go. So, it's interesting. Arne and Ivy. Arne, I sat with Arne on the board of WDSC for a number of years, and I never knew the whole story. And when I read the biography and Patty Mester talked about it, it is remarkable, and you're going to hear some of that. Bold choice, taking that award. We have Terry Crowd from Bold Choice. We are so pleased to have you all here tonight. This is just fantastic. This is very important to us. Shawna, there we go. Didn't even recognize you. You got babysitter for the twins? And I can just imagine, when you're an artist in Duluth, you have to find your way, and you have to be creative, and it takes a special person to do that. And some of the work that you have done that's around the hospitals and other public venue spaces that I have seen, phenomenal. You know, this is a special night. It's recognizing people who have made a difference in the quality of life in Duluth. You know, in the Depot Foundation, you can see what our mission is. We don't do the programming at the Depot. We don't control anything here. We help to fund it. And we help to, our foundation, our endowment is used to maintain and preserve this beautiful building and this space that we're in right now. The foundation paid for the seats that you're sitting in and is helping to pay for the restoration and the renovation of the entire theater, including sound system, lighting system, stage, curtains, all of those kinds of things. So the Depot Foundation does make a difference. And we're pleased that everyone is here tonight. I'm going to turn it over to our Executive Director, Jason, and we're going to go on with the rest of the show. So thank you very much for coming. Enjoy, and sit back and relax.
Thank you, Dennis, and thank you all for attending our 24th Annual Circle of Friends Arts and Culture Awards celebration. My name is Jason Young, new Executive Director for the Depot Foundation. I'm very happy to be here with you all tonight. First, I would like to recognize a very special guest with us tonight. Driving all the way up from the Twin Cities, Deshaun Drew. Where are you, Deshaun? President of Minnesota Public Radio. Thank you very much for joining us. Before I go further to the award winners, when you come up, please come up this side. There's the stairs over here. The award winners. Thank you. And one of our great Depot partners is going to perform for us tonight. Minnesota Ballet. I'd like to invite Carl von Robinow, Minnesota Ballet's Artistic Executive Director, up on stage to introduce tonight's performance. Carl.
Here we go.
Thank you very much, Jason. We're particularly excited to dance for you this evening for two reasons. One, we are grateful to be in this space. We're going to be performing up here doing Romeo and Juliet next weekend. And yeah, exactly. But also, we're also very excited that Claudia is receiving an award. We're working with some of her costumes for that production. So, the other reason why we're really excited to perform for you is that through the Depot Foundation and our Arts for All Scholarship, it really helps us continue our mission of making dance instruction accessible to as many individuals as possible. So we're really grateful for the Depot Foundation for that support. So what you're going to see here tonight is some of our upper level students. They're going to be performing a piece that they did with a collaboration with the DSYO a while back. And it's triangle dances, and I think that's pretty much all I have to say. So, great to be here.
programs and projects. Many hands make light work, and I want to start out tonight by thanking many friends and organizations that have helped us with tonight's celebration. First, I'd like to thank our very generous sponsors for this year's Circle of Friends. These folks said yes to supporting art and culture in our community. Thank you to our presenting sponsor, Lake Superior Railroad Museum, for the free drinks and open bar. And thank you to, very good. Thank you to our sustaining sponsors, longtime sponsors, Catering by Bellicio's, Grandma's Restaurant Company, Johnson Carpet One, and Findon Marketing. And thank you to, Not everybody says yes to art and culture, so these folks have been really generous with us, and we really appreciate them very much. Our partnering sponsors are North Shore Bank, A.G. O'Brien, the St. Louis County Depot, and Lake Superior Writers. And Dennis already gave a special shout out to Connie. Did Connie make it? You heard? Connie? Hello? Okay. Connie's done our biographies for the last years, and again, they're absolutely wonderful. We do have a special recognition for her, which we'll get to her. And these are wonderful awards, and we have them here tonight, and I'll talk a little bit more about them, but it's engraved for Connie, and she is wonderful. And finally, our patron sponsors, Essentia Health and The Vault, and Superior Blooms, which you're going to see their work out in the Great Hall, and they're absolutely wonderful. So thank you very much. And on the back of your programs, we thank all the individuals on our committees that helped work many hours since last November to help us get to where we are tonight. If you were on the Circle of Friends Committee or the Awards Selection Committee, please stand to be recognized, volunteers and staff. Thank you. We'd like to recognize our strong partnership with the St. Louis County Depot and thank Mary Tennis, director of the Depot, and her team for bringing in so many wonderful events into the Depot and for the care they have shown for the maintenance and integrity of the Depot building itself. That's why we're here. Established in 1979, the Depot Foundation is dedicated to preserving the St. Louis County Depot as a vibrant, welcoming forum for the arts, culture, and history through managing and growing a permanent endowment. As an organization that relies on public support, for 45 years, our friends, donors, and business partners have said yes to supporting the Depot Foundation, enabling us to grant over $7 million in support to the Depot and many amazing programs and projects. The success of any organization is really determined by the level of care and commitment it receives by the people involved with it. And for 45 years, the Depot Foundation has been served by many extremely generous and talented volunteers on its board of directors. Today is no different. The recent success and growth of the Depot Foundation is the absolute result of an amazing group of directors that believe in the Depot Foundation and its mission. If you are on the Depot Foundation's board of directors, please stand to be recognized. Thank you. Thank you all very much. All right, tonight's Shadow Box Awards were custom created by Fitzcraft Creations locally in Proctor, Minnesota, and they are absolutely wonderful. So, somebody told me last year I got to show off the awards. All right, finally we have two amazing Arts for All Scholarship recipients that will be helping with our awards this evening. Sophia Farrell, violinist with the DSSO Youth Orchestra. And Anna Searles with the Minnesota Valley, who just danced for us, and she'll be up here shortly. And thank you both for helping tonight. All right, now let's celebrate tonight's winners. Okay, it takes some serious initiative to restore and revive not just one, but two historical theaters. For breathing new life into West Duluth and his ongoing work restoring the West and Alhambra theaters, This year's initiative award goes to Bob Boone. The initiative award recognizes individuals or organizations demonstrating exemplary initiative in creating opportunities in or expanding access to the arts and culture of our region.
Thank you all very much for the honor. The only thing that spared you guys, the sheetrock and sawdust, is actually there's a concert at the West Theater tonight that I have to be to by 3 p.m. So we'll see if it melts before I get there. So I cleaned up a little bit. Thank you all for this wonderful award. Sometimes it feels like you're in Siberia when you're not downtown Duluth. And I had an office downtown Duluth for many years, and I thought West Duluth was Siberia too. So I guess you should know I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've started at least a dozen. In the good or bad old days, I might just run out and start one because I hadn't done one in a year. The most reckless example is a friend of mine. Her daughter was a floral designer for a local flower shop. And my friend was lamenting that her daughter had been laid off from the flower shop, and it's a shame she was so good with flowers. So I said, oh, I'll start a flower shop for her. Don't ask how much I know about flower shops. So about 6 weeks later, I had a flower shop. I had bought off the inventory of a gift shop in San Antonio. And we were open and making money. I still knew nothing about flowers. And about 3 months later, I drove to the flower shop, discovered the doors were locked, and it was dark. And then I figured out why she'd been fired by the florist. Guess who was not prepared to run over and start running a flower shop? So I got in and out of it for like maybe a loss of $1,500, but that's a mildly impulsive move, or very impulsive. So years later, I resolved to stop using my gift for finding things nobody else thinks should be done. And I was walking out of Russo's Cafe with my then girlfriend. She says, look, there's a building for sale. You can buy that and move the reader office there. And I said, no, I'm downtown. I'm perfectly happy there. I don't want that. She says, but it'd be a nice building. You could fix it up. And I said, that's not a building, that's a theater. And she said, oh no. Because she realized she'd stirred up, and I looked around and I said, West Duluth really could use its own theater. And I went to see the guy and looked at it, and I could afford to buy the building. I couldn't afford to renovate it. And he said he would hold a check for me for $500 while I went out and explored whether this deal could be done. He's a nameless guy, Dave Orman. And he said, you're the reader guy, you must believe in the arts, and you're obviously perseverant because you've got a newspaper. So I'll tell you what, give me a check for $500. I'll hold it while you explore whether this can be renovated. Well, because the readers never had a bank loan, it took a long time to meet enough bankers that said, before we got one that said yes. So Dave Orman had to hold that $500 check for 11 months. 11 months. And then it took nearly 3 years to build the theater. I won't apologize for that. We ran out of money once partway through. But all in all, it came out very well. It was nominated for the Rathos Award for the Preservation of the Year project for the state. and it opened in June of 19. It cost $1.3 million. That compares rather favorably to the North Shore Theater at $32 million, but who's counting? So it opened, it was immediately very popular. We hemorrhaged money for 3 months, broke even for 3 months. Then the golden era started February of 2020. And then the golden era of profitability ended in February of 2020. So there goes my manager, and there goes most of the staff. And the theater was dark and made nearly no money for a year and a half. And when it came out of COVID, the movie business was much, much different. And I'd urge all of you to support Cinema 1 and 2, the Premier Theater in Cloquet. It's very hard to be in the movie business now. It's not doing anywhere near what it used to. And so we have become more of an event center with concerts. It turns out we're pretty good at memorial services. We've had a couple of weddings. And what could be more fun if you have one theater that doesn't make money, but to go out and do another? And but there's a quiz here. What does France, St. Paul, Illinois, Iowa, and New Mexico have in common? Right, this one. So, all of them have initiatives to support. St. Paul supports theirs, and it's kind of an afterthought for most of us. And I think they provide a very useful function to be a part of the fabric holding a downtown together. And for purposes of this conversation, I'm going to call Central Avenue a downtown. Downtown Junior. So it turns out the West has become a very good concert hall. It has some of the best acoustics in the country, no thanks to me. And some of the nation's leading performers have come there and said, it's tremendous, and I have the nicest staff, and our audience is amongst the most appreciative. So that's Kathy Mattea, that's Lucy Kaplansky, that's Pure Prairie League. People like that are thrilled to come to the West Theater in Boone. And then Sammy's Pizza's thrilled when they come, because we brought the Glenn Miller Orchestra in, and Sammy's had a record day. And then, the bars down the street, Russo's Cafe, they fill up beforehand. So I had a friend, who shall be nameless, who came up to me when I was dreaming of building a theater for West Duluth and said, Bob, is this another flower shop? No. West Duluth really needs this, and I'm just the guy to do it. And then I've paid for it ever since. Anyway, there are people that have been supporting us from day one. There's Mark Escala, who's been my construction foreman on both theaters. Annie Lepper from Minnesota Power Employees Credit Union has been a supporter of both theaters. Campbell Lumber, huge. Terry Toyota. We have had 90 volunteers help build the West Theater. County attorneys, jewelers, you name it. My mistake was thinking the same thing would happen when I did the Alhambra, but nobody alive remembers the Alhambra. And I didn't even know I was buying a theater, but that's a story for a different time. The bad news to building a theater when you're just a newspaper guy and his paper doesn't make money after a pandemic, and you don't have much of a track record as a theater guy, when you run off and say, now I'm going to build another theater, not everybody thinks that's a good idea, but I'd already bought the building, and after I bought the building, I discovered that it was an old theater, the Alhambra on the far left. And there was no sign of it, but above the suspended ceiling we found artifacts. I think 30 people have donated wonderful, architecturally correct items that are going there because I'm not a Krauss Anderson that goes in and builds a theater in 6 months and then it's open. So the Virginia School Board 2 years after I started, said, we're closing down our high school, we're going to give you salvage rights. And we went up and found antique sconces and marble and fireproof drapes and a retractable movie theater screen. I ran around and chased down every fire extinguisher in the building. I've salvaged the theaters in Hackensack, Minnesota, and the Mall of America to get products that are affordable. But you know what? We have 2 fine theaters in West Duluth. The Alhambra could be done by middle of April for at least an occupancy permit. We're hoping for a grand opening in May. But, of course, I did way over my head. And I talked too much. So, without further ado, check our website. We're going to start a membership drive. I can use volunteers to come and help clean. And without further ado, I'll get the hell out of your way. Thank you.
Congratulations, Bob. And next is the Artist Award. This award recognizes an artist that has burst onto the art scene or whose distinguished career has made significant contributions to the development of both artists and the arts. Past winners include Bill Bastian, Ann Gumper, and Adam Swanson. This year's winner, Shawna Gilmore. Surreal scenes and patterned portraits. Both are a critical part to her practice, not having one without the other. Congratulations.
Duluth is really special to me, and being part of this community has always been a really big part of my heart. So it's really special when what I do in my little studio impacts the community a little bit, and I can feel a part of it. So thank you so much.
Congratulations, Shawna. Your work is wonderful. So in 2021, the Depot Foundation created the Arts for All Scholarship. The Arts for All Scholarship strengthens financial opportunities for youth and young adults in a region that participate in educational opportunities such as classes, camps, and workshops hosted by all of our Depot partners. This year, the Depot Foundation has awarded over $15,000 in scholarship awards. The Arts for All Scholarship is awarded year-round and is in high demand. The Depot Foundation is committed to investing in the next generation of art and culture makers. Tonight we get to hear from 2 of our Arts for All Scholarship recipients about the impact this opportunity has had on them. First we'll hear from Sophia Farrell.
My name is Sophia Farrell, and I'm a senior in high school. Next year, I'm going to UWS for music education, and because of this scholarship, I was able to be a part of the Duluth Superior Symphony Youth Orchestras. The level of playing we do in this group has challenged me in a way that public high school can't always do, and brought me a community of people just as willing and happy to put in the work it takes to play at this level. This scholarship has thus helped me to improve as a musician and brought me so many great opportunities that have helped me form connections in our local music community, including some of the people I've met today. Connections like these are especially important for someone in this aspiring field. It has empowered me to pursue my passion, and without it, it is likely I would not have been able to be a part of youth symphony. And I would have missed out on all of these great opportunities, including being able to play stage a few months ago. I am incredibly grateful for this opportunity and look forward to continuing my journey as a musician. Thank you.
All right, the cost of a new church organ can approach $1 million. So how much do you think it would cost to make a Felgemaker organ today? Well, in 1898, it was $3,000. Our Historic Preservation Award recognizes an individual, organization, or project that has made a substantial impact on historic preservation or interpretation in our region. This year we recognize the carefully maintained and beautifully sounding Felgemaker organ housed in the Sacred Heart Music Center in Duluth. Velda? Velda is one of the lucky organists that gets to play Sacred Heart's Felgemaker. Built in 1898, it is the largest old organ indigenous to Minnesota. And we did have a video, but the sound doesn't do it justice. YouTube has great videos of the Felgemaker, and it's amazing sound.
Well, I'm honored to accept this award given by the Circle of Friends for the Felgemaker pipe organ, which is housed at the Sacred Heart Music Center. I'm the chair of the Friends of the Felgemaker, which is a committee made up of 8 dedicated individuals who work very hard at keeping this pipe organ maintained, raising funds for its upkeep, and planning concerts that highlight the organ. So I want to mention these individuals and thank them for everything they do. And Chuck Sunquist is our resident organist, and he is here today. Another member of our community is Rachel Prisha, and she is here today too. Other members include Karen Sandy, Terry Anderson, Rosemary Geeney, Sam Black, and David Trigasev, who's been involved with Sacred Heart Music Center and the organ for about 3 decades, I think. We're either 7 of us are organists, and 1 is a husband of an organist. So we just love this organ, and we are very honored to be involved with keeping it preserved. One other person I wanted to mention is our organ technician, David Rowland, who tunes the organ, repairs it, and he's really kept it playable for many years and donating a lot of his time. So thanks to all these individuals. I wanted to say just a little bit, as Jason mentioned, this organ was built in 1898, so 125 years ago. It was originally installed in Duluth's Sacred Heart Cathedral, and it's a very interesting story how that Sacred Heart Cathedral became the Sacred Heart Music Center, and it really is kind of a survival story. So in the 50s, the Duluth Cathedral moved into a new building on the east side of Duluth, and at that time, the building that we know as Sacred Heart Music Center became a parish church. And by 1985, the diocese had decided to close the church and demolish the building. And so the future of the pipe organ was unsure. But Joan Connolly, who was the organist at this church for more than 50 years, didn't want the building torn down. I tell you, organists are pretty determined not to get something in their mind. And she gathered up other people that felt the same way, and they purchased the church for $1 from the diocese, and it turned into a nonprofit organization, eventually called the Sacred Heart Music Center, that holds many concerts, not just organ concerts, but concerts, folk concerts, rock concerts, choral concerts, whatever. It's just a wonderful resource in our community. There's a besides Joe, there's a very long list of individuals and organizations who have seen the value of this musical instrument and have worked very hard to preserve it. And I'd like to say that the organ is 125 years old, and you can imagine in that period of time there's a lot of repairs that have been done and updates. But those updates really haven't changed the total quality of the organ, which is extremely beautiful. And it's the sounds we hear today are pretty much the sounds that used to be heard every Sunday morning when it was a church. So the Felgemaker's marvelous sounds are still making beautiful music that soothes our souls, lifts our spirits, and speaks to us in many ways. We are fortunate that this gem still exists in our community. Thank you so much for this award that recognizes all these people who have worked toward preserving the organ. Thank you.
And the video I was referring to, I think that was during COVID. That was a special holiday concert. It's amazing. So thank you so much. Congratulations, Velvet and Sacred Heart. Old Choice Theater here somewhere? Our Community Enrichment Award recognizes bold steps taken to strengthen the arts and culture of our region. Past winners include Pat Burns, Ken Bueller, and the Minnesota Ballet. This year's Community Enrichment Award goes to Choice Unlimited's Bold Choice Theater. Bold Choice Theater is one of many exceptional programs managed by Choice Unlimited. Bold Choice Theater is a community theater company that creates original, fully staged productions that seek to align artistic expression and civic engagement. Bold Choice Theater Director Annie Rosine and Bold Choice actor Lloyd Goodman are accepting this award.
Everyone, Lloyd and I are up here representing a 30-person cast down here because there's not just one of us, it's all of us, and we don't really do things unless we're all there. So thank you for inviting all of us and allowing us the whole entire cast to come. So thank you. We really love being recognized. We love the Depot. The Depot has been part of our lives, those of us who grew up in the booth, our entire lives, and they have made us feel really welcome here many times. We have performed as a cast on this stage. Many of us have done other things at the Depot that really hold a special place. So it was exciting when we heard that we were being recognized. We hope some of you are familiar with us, but it's kind of exciting that maybe some of you weren't, because after tonight you are. We've been around for, Bold Choice has been around for nearly 20 years. What started as just like an enrichment class at Choice Unlimited, which is a day program for adults with disabilities. Choice Unlimited has been around for 30 years. One of the kind of the forefront of getting folks out of center-based programming and into their communities. So among many of the things that we do at Choice, one of the things we're most proud of is our arts program and Bold Choice Theater. So what started as a class turned into some real recognition of talent and expression, and nothing is good unless it's inclusive. I really think that. And our actors are like any other group of community actors. Some do it because they love attention or they got a crush on somebody. Other actors do it because they are artists who want to tell a story. And what's really neat about Choice is we don't buy a script, we make a script. So all of our 9 original plays have been created by us, and they keep morphing into what we want to say as a group of artists. We've had pieces that were very lesson learning about folks with disabilities, and we've also said, what do we want to explore as artists? And Just like any group of thespians, we have people who want to murder and make out and do all sorts. So sometimes we have plays that go to elementary schools and sometimes we don't. So our most recent show that we're touring currently is an original musical that we created together with music director Toby Churchill, and we have a live band on stage the whole time, and we tell the story of very much maybe something like the West Theater or the Alhambra or even the North Shore, a theater that used to have all the glitz and kind of was forgotten, and how we don't forget about those kind of people and we bring back to life those things. So that's what our story's about. We're just wrapping up our tour, so if you haven't seen us before, a couple of things. We'd love if you took the time to read our story in the program. It tells a lot more about us. Also, if you are a social media type person, please follow us because we have a good time and we post about it. Also, we'll tell you what's going on with us as things come up. So you will have one more time to see a performance if you haven't, or if you're just dying to see it again. Our first performance of this musical was at the North Shore, and we sold out. People were turned away at the door, 600 some seats, or close. And our next show. We continue to prove to the disability community that arts matter, and to the arts community that disabilities matter. So, this fine young gentleman is going to talk about how you can take in our last performance of this musical, and then there will be more to come in the future. So thanks again.
I'm Lloyd, and I've been with Boone for 17 years. And the last show is April 26th. April 26th, Saturday, and it's at 7 at Denfeld High School. So come and enjoy the play.
That is terrific. And congratulations, Annie, Lloyd, and Bold Choice Theater. Next, we'd like to invite Hannah Searles to talk about the impact the Arts for All Scholarship has had on her. Hannah.
Hi, I'm Hannah Searles, and I am a Ballet 8 at the Minnesota Ballet Academy. I want to thank you all for helping me to have the ability to take more ballet classes. I love to dance because dance is a way for me to express myself in ways that I enjoy. I also love ballet because of its consistency. Dance, ballet in particular, makes me feel alive. Since I was 9 years old, I've been taking every ballet class I can find on the North Shore, as well as intensives throughout Minnesota. Being from Silver Bay, in order for me to find enough classes in ballet, I've had to travel to Duluth and beyond to grow as a dancer. Because of finances, I've had to work hard to pay for all my own classes and ballet supplies. Taking lessons at various studios in Two Harbors and Duluth led me step by step to finding an open adult ballet class at the Minnesota Ballet. Thanks to Arts for All scholarships, I was able to start taking more classes by signing up for adult ballet classes here at the Minnesota Ballet. Through the Minnesota Ballet Open class in the late spring of 2024, I was able to start taking the Ballet 6-7 class at Minnesota Ballet Academy. After taking the 6-7 class through the summer, I was moved up to taking Ballet 8 in the fall. In December of 2024, I was able to perform in the Nutcracker, a Duluth Tale, as a Ballet 8, and that was an amazing experience. Each of the opportunities at Minnesota Ballet Academy was paid in part through the generous donations given to the Depot Foundation and the Arts for All Scholarship Program. My dance journey has been not normal, but each step enabled me to put the next piece into the puzzle to where I am today. And that is due largely to the relief of the financial burden that the Arts for All Scholarship has afforded. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah, very much, and thank you both for helping tonight and speaking tonight. All right, two left. The Lifetime Artist Award. The Lifetime Artist Award is presented to an individual or group which has dedicated their time, talent, and energy to their art form. Someone whose passion and dedication are readily apparent and appreciated by so many. An artist whose lifetime artistic excellence, dedication, and vision have made a positive impact on our community. The 2025 Lifetime Artist Award goes to Claudia Myers. Claudia's career has included costume design and set construction for organizations like the Baltimore Opera and the Minnesota Ballet. If that isn't enough, she has been a nationally recognized quilter for over 30 years, winning her first award in 1998 for Best Use of Color. And she is an author, recently penning her first book, and actually her second book, The Storyteller, and is a frequent lifestyle column contributor for the Duluth News Tribune.
You know, can you hear me all right? You know, in order to get this award, you have to be really pretty old. It's a lifetime award. And I think I qualify for that. I would like to say thank you to all of you for coming and supporting your friends and relatives. My family came from far away and close up. My son just walked me up. I have lots of family in the audience that came flying in from North Carolina. The snowstorm. You know, the boys' basketball tournament has been over for a week. We're not supposed to have any more snow. But this is a tremendous award, and I really appreciate it. I know that there are people in the audience that have gotten this award, and I feel like I'm in rarefied company. But there are also people in the audience who might like to get this award. And I'm going to tell you how to do it. When I got the letter about the award, I looked around like I didn't know anybody was watching. I was just going along doing all the things that I really like to do. And somebody was watching and thought that it qualified me for an award. So, here's how you get this award. You have to choose your family and friends with great care. That's it. You have to pick children who are resourceful. When they get locked out of the house after school because mom is still at the ballet dress rehearsal, they have to know how to get in. You have to pick teenage children who are happy to earn their spending money sewing foam into pillow forms and tying your tags onto things that you are trying to sell. Children who will go with you to dumpster diving for shipping boxes. Grown children and grandchildren who say, "Where's your list?" or I'll be up again next month. And let me know if you need help. Kids and grandkids who are interested enough in all the weird things that you do, that they would make the trip, long or short, to see you get an award for doing them. And friends. It's a very important thing to pick friends who are willing to share their ideas and their creativity, because that's where your sparks come when you bang up against that gray wall of creative stage fright. Friends who say, well, what if you tried this? Or what if you did that? Friends who know you really didn't mean it when you said, I'm never making another quilt, I'm selling all my fabric, and my sewing machines, and they know you better than that. Friends who you forget to call because you are immersed in finishing a quilt, or stuck in dress rehearsal, or a column deadline. You know, the ones who say, well, I've been thinking about you, and pick up the conversation right where you left off 3 weeks ago, or 3 years ago. Those friends. You have to be willing to fly by the seat of your pants, to say, yes, I might be able to do that, when someone makes an impossible sounding request. You have to be willing to put your mind to it, rather than saying, no, I don't know how to do that. I've never done that before. I couldn't possibly do that. You have to say, well, let me think about it. Maybe there is a way to do it. When someone asks, could you devise a stage tree for a production of Peter and the Wolf, that Peter and the cat could climb up and catch the wolf's tail from above with a lasso. Thick wooden step ladders, 2x4s, and great big refrigerator cardboard boxes. And very important, you have to be at the right place at the right time. I was working in a flower shop when Tom, my husband, came in to buy flowers for his date that night. We got to talking, and he asked me out. The tree that I spoke of before was the result of a friend, and I have to tell you this right up front, friends can get you into more trouble than anybody else. I've done that myself. A friend asked me about the Peter and the Wolf tree for the Lollipop concert, at which the Duluth Civic Ballet, at that time, I think it was probably in about 1962 or so, they were performing Peter and the Wolf. The ballet company liked my tree. It didn't fall over. It looked like a tree. They asked me to make nutcracker props. The next year, they asked me to make costumes. There were, I think, 10 directors with the ballet company in all the years that I worked for them, and I learned something from every single one of them. How to make flat tutus, how to make classical tutus, how to make Prince boots, all kinds of stuff. The opera people saw me working for the ballet and asked about working with the new director they had coming in, a big name from Baltimore. He asked me to come and do the wardrobe for the Baltimore Opera. Well, I was moving to Baltimore and then making designs for hats, headpieces, and principal costumes. So I used to work in Duluth, fly to Baltimore for the fittings, and then I couldn't go to the performances because I wasn't union, but I got to go to opening night anyway, so that worked out. Then the theater director at the College of St. Scholastica asked me to come and make costumes for one production. Then she asked me to stay on and work with the work study students, and that was pretty fun. When I retired, her friend insisted that I go to a quilt show with her to meet her cousin. I walked in the door, and I was flabbergasted. There was a mural on the wall that was a quilt. And I thought, maybe there's a place for me after all. Another friend asked me to design and make a raffle quilt for a long arm machine quilting show. The long armer who quilted it and I won awards with it and went on to win many, many more awards with our collaborations over 15 years. I had some antiques I wanted to sell. I rented a booth at Father Time. I'm still there 15 years later now selling Persian rugs. I went to a meeting of a new quilt group that emphasized creativity, and I met some of the best friends I have ever had. Some ideas popped into my head about things that we did during the quarantine for COVID. You know, we were pretty resourceful. We let our hair go white. We washed our hands a bazillion times a day, and we never touched our noses. I talked about these things in a New Year's letter to my friends, one of whom I knew from college. She had married a local, well-known journalist, and they encouraged me to send it to the newspaper. No. I just wrote that for my friends. I didn't want to send it to the newspaper. Somebody might, say something bad about it or whatever. But my ego got the best of me. And I sent it in, and they published it. And the editor asked me to write a regular column every other week. So I did. And finally, here's the thing that pulls it all together and makes the award a possibility for you. You have to pick a husband or a partner who doesn't flinch when you tell him you have to go to Baltimore for 2 weeks to do final costume fittings, and he's in charge of the 3 teenagers. He doesn't pack up and leave when you break the news that you are going for 10 days to St. George, Utah to teach and lecture at the annual State Quilt Guild Show. And when he reads and proofs the columns of humorous observations that I write for the newspaper, he is always positive in his criticisms. He says, well, it doesn't seem to flow. He never ever says, this is a bunch of crap. And that's how you win this award. That's how I won it.
Claudia, maybe you can MC this next year. Congratulations, Claudia. The final award is the Lifetime Achievement Award. The Lifetime Achievement Award is presented to recognize a person or organization or persons which has contributed to the region not only through the Depot Foundation, but through volunteerism, ambassadorship, and contributions of spirit, energy, and resources. Our Lifetime Achievement Award winners this year are Ivy and Dr. Arne Vainio. enrich a community, not just through their individual efforts, but through the strength of their shared values and partnership. We're deeply grateful for their contributions to arts, culture, and humanity across the Northland.
Claudia, I want you to be my mom, okay? Make that happen. It's already my mom. This is pretty incredible. Thank you, Depot Foundation, for this incredible award and for all that you do for the arts, artists, and our community. Congratulations to Bob, Claudia, Mom, Arne, Sacred Heart Music Center, and Bold Choice Theater. So just a little bit about me that might not be in the program. I grew up in a Minnesota farm of 60 plus people. I was the only black person in the surrounding area. My Ojibwe mother raised my brother and I on food stamps and charity from our local church. We still live that way after my mom married my stepdad, who was a farmer. And when I was 12, and life was so hard. It never crossed my mind back then, or even last year, or even yesterday, that I would be getting this award. With Arne, yes, me, I know. I'm sure everybody in that town, including my extended family, would be like, back then, be like, no, not Ivy. And maybe some even now, so I hope somebody's taking pictures so I can like send it to them. There's too many people to thank. First and foremost, Ni Moshe, Arne, all the Mabanis, who really deserves this award, and he's just been so supportive of me for the past, how many years, Arne? Quite a few. Decades. Our sons Jacob and Andrew, who couldn't be with us tonight. My parents, especially my mom. She's where I get my resilience from. Nokomisaban and Rainbow. Where's Rainbow? Rainbow! Those that have come into our lives and become instant family, there, you know who you are, right there. Every student in the 27 years that I worked in higher education that I helped, they helped me even more in so many ways. And all my co-workers in the last 34 years really helped me grow to the person that I am today. All the musicians, artists, actors that are in our lives, and they really make the world go round. And if Teague Alexi's in here, he's even got a song like that. Where's Teague? Is Teague still here? Maybe not. He had a gig tonight. I'm truly grateful and honored for this award, and I will do my best to keep making positive changes in our collective communities. Miigwech, Bizendalie, thank you for listening to me. Now I'll turn it over to Arne.
So, Arne, as Ojibwe people and Anishinaabe people, we have two readings that we use. bonjour, which is a kind of a familiar greeting that we say day to day to people that we know well. And Arne, which is a more formal one reserved for people we've just met and we haven't seen for a long time. Those are really respect, and I do mean to say Arne. And I'm a physician on the Fond du Lac Reservation, been there for 27 and a half years, love every minute of it. And I learned so much from my patients. And I learned from our communities are a result of us, all of us. And we are the result of our communities. When I was in high school, we were the only, there was one other Ojibwe family in the school, and we tried to stay invisible. So that meant we didn't get bad grades, we didn't get really good grades. We got right in the middle and just stayed low. And my high school counselor was a state senator, and he called me into his office for his 11th grade review and said that I wasn't college material, but I'd be good at tech school and working on transmissions and stuff. And I believed him because he was my counselor. And then we had a fill-in counselor that came for 6 months, and him and his wife, Leonard and Norma Oyala, they both died since, but they brought me to UMD and said you could go here. And if it wasn't for them, I never would have started on this journey. And I got here like a pinball. And the right people at the right time in my life. When Ivy and I travel, we use an age-old system, which is depending on the kindness of strangers. And you can travel paranoid and worried about people that you don't know or look different than you, or you can depend on them. And we've chosen to depend on them, and it's worked wonders. And the community that's here supporting us now include musicians and actors. Michael Horst, anybody seen Twin Peaks? Twin Peaks, see the Deputy Hawk is right there. John Drew, Senior Vice President, American Public Media Group, and President of Minnesota Public Radio, is here supporting me and Ivy. And we're so thankful for that. World famous old country DJ from WATIP, and does the polka hour and the country show, Rainbow Trout. Someone was proud. Finns. So Vainio was a Finnish name, so I'm half Finnish and half Ojibwe. And Finns are noted for their frugality. And somewhere in this crowd is Steve Lepla of Sauna Quest fame. So him and I go to saunas, and we went to Finland together, me and Ivy and Steve, partially to go to saunas. But he's known in the Finnish community as a supreme frugal skate. But he's part of that community. And we make each other better. And we all do that. And I would not be up here accepting a Lifetime Achievement Award. And there's nobody I would rather accept that award with than Ivy. She does so much for so many people. And Claudia, Ivy is a blanket maker. Last year for traditional Ojibwe ceremonies, part of the ceremony is giving away blankets. And Ivy made a blanket for one of the first ceremonies. She just finished her 111th blanket. She doesn't sell them. She doesn't make them. She makes them thinking of people. Joe Nagwanavi is here with Nagani Gwanev. Joe is a traditional legend, and he's a good man, and he's a Vietnam veteran, and he took 2 bullets when they took out of him, and one he still carries, and he preaches love. When he talks, and he doesn't preach, from a traditional standpoint, the month of May is Zagi Bagagizis. And the Zagi part is, it means the leaves emerging moon. And And Zaki Edwin is love. And I was always wondering, what does love have to do with leaves coming out? And I asked an elder, and Zaki Baga is when the leaves come out, but Zaki, the root of that is love. And love emerges. And it doesn't happen all at once. And even when you have children, you grow to love them more and more and more. And the same thing with our communities. We grow to love each other more and more and more. And as a physician, it's taken me quite a while to realize that the reason I'm here is love is medicine. And my patients know that. And there's a lot of good technical stuff out there for medicine, but the real basis of that is love, and it's community. Thank you so much to the People Foundation and everybody here. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Ivy and Arne, and congratulations to all of our 2025 Circle of Friends Award recipients. Please join me in one wonderful evening. Just two things. If you receive an award or award recipients tonight, Michael, our photographer, if we could meet just right outside here for a group picture, we'd love that. And again, going back to Connie LeMay, our biography writer, she keeps the biographies around 750 words, and she's like, their stories are just so tremendous. It's really hard to get it down to 750 words. So if you do have the time, please read through the biographies because they're really amazing. Where's Bob? Bob was a race car driver, right? Yeah, I think he was. Read about
Before
Bob.
electricity.
What's that?
Before electricity.
Before electricity. Anyway, thank you all very much for attending tonight's Circle of Friends Art and Culture Award celebration. We truly appreciate you all being here, and thank you for your support. Please enjoy tonight's reception in the Depot Great Hall. Enjoy the magic, support the spirit. Good night.